Solid Talk Podcast, episode number 12. Today, I'm joined by a good friend from the East Coast. My friend, introduce yourself.
I am Stan Koniszewski with Teamsters Local 294. I'm a business agent, and I'm also the political coordinator for Joint Council 18 in New York here.
Okay. So tell me, Stan, Local 294, where is that in New York?
Local 294 is based out of Albany. We actually cover about 28 counties. We're a big jurisdiction. We're almost 6,000 members. We're an A to Z local. We cover everything from airplane pilots to zookeepers. We can cover it all out of this local. We have everything going on here. But we're out of Albany, New York, the capital of New York. So we're always hands on down at the Capitol, fighting the fight for the Teamsters down there.
Man, big fights in the capital. The New York City is miles and miles away, but you never really hear much about the capital, right? It's like way up there. Only when Governor Cuomo was in there, you hear more about it. Cuomo was more of a bigger name than the current governor.
Well, Hochul's making a name for herself too right
Is she?
now, in a different stroke of the way, but she's making a name for herself. New Yorkers, New York is New York. We
Right,
have a
right.
great relationship with our Teamsters down in the city, 282, 804, Vinnie Perone, Tom Giswaldi, both great presidents down there. Demos is down there. We have a great relationship in New York, from New York City to Buffalo. I mean, we're solid as Teamsters in New York. We stick together. We actually get together a lot. We do a lot of advocating down at the Capitol together. I mean, my brother Lou Picani's up here all the time. So, we make ourselves noticed in New York because we stick together in New York. We're strong. Teamsters strong.
There you go. The teachers out there, they're infamous for the 70s, the 80s, the tough, taxi things, you see in the movies with Hoffa. And I'm just like, man, that must have been amazing times for these teamsters back then to have those fights. And you see all these great locals. All these locals have a history. They all have a somebody back in time that did something amazing. Out of 294, who was like the guy that really led the charge that you could bring up and say?
That led the charge. Well, I came in under President John Bulgaro, who's president for about 20 years. President Tom Quackenbush is our president right now on our local 294, and he's been here right alongside John for all those years. He took over after John. And then before that, we had Whitey Bennett, and before that, we had Nick Robalato. And if you don't have a Nick Robalato story, then you can never run construction. I actually run the construction with the building trades, and I can tell you right now, there's a legacy there. And you better understand that legacy, else you'll never survive the ready mix world around here.
Ready Mix. Yeah, that's big. I saw that some up in Northern Cali just joined the Teamsters, Ready Mix. And out here in Southern California, there's a huge Ready Mix company called Robertson's. I don't know if you know who they are, but I would love to see that one be joined into the fold eventually, because I think a lot of young brothers go there just to get their license and then they leave. But the way to keep your employees is make them union. They'll
Well,
stay
we're
for the long term.
we're very fortunate up here at 294. We actually have 12 ready mix contracts.
Wow.
So our jurisdiction are all Teamsters in the ready mix world. And that's the legacy that Nick Robalato and the Whitey Bennett and John Bulgaro and now Tom Quackenbush are leaving behind, is that we're one of the few Teamster locals that everything in our jurisdiction has a Teamster tag on that truck running ready mix. We're very fortunate in our jurisdiction that we've held on to the ready mix world. And up here, ready mix is just booming. Every day of the week, I can take a guy off the street and make him a ready mix driver, because we're always looking for drivers every single day of the week. It's a tough life, but they make a good wage and good benefit package, and it feeds a lot of families. So we're thankful for the ready mix, and we're thankful, for all the work going on right now. There's a couple big projects, a couple $1 billion projects going on around here, and it's a lot of ready mix, and it's keeping my guys busy.
Right. I mean, it's amazing to see that. The construction world is busy, it's booming. Doesn't matter if you're in the politics world, blue or red. I think green is what matters, as long as it's flowing. Because if you could be making money, working, not relying on the public assistance, that's where it's at. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
And
it's right now it's good. It's good because I was in Vegas and they're on strike, and it's the same thing. They're owned by a massive cement company. they're just trying to play stupid games, trying to take away their benefits, trying to take away their pension, their medical, and it's like, "Come on, like, you guys are the busiest, you have the biggest contracts, and you're still playing these stupid games," you know?
Yeah, well, sometimes in ready mix, we need a couple weeks in the dirt to settle things out, and that's just reality of things. Even if you got a good deal on the table, sometimes we got to hit the street for about a couple weeks just to, kick some dirt around, get it out of our blood because it's a tough living. It's a tough job. Our ready mix guys do a great job. I couldn't be more proud of the quality of drivers that I have out of this local when it comes to ready mix. But it's a tough job, and it wears on the guys, and it wears on their families. And even if they come to the table with a good deal, sometimes my guys will say, "Hey, we need a little summer break here. Let's hit the street for a little bit and eat some pizza." That's just how it goes. Even if you got a yes in your hand, I can tell you right now, in the ready mix world, sometimes when you hit the dirt, it's not about the deal; it's about the respect. And if management and the owner's not respecting the guys, they don't care how much money you're putting on that table. They're going to send you a clear message, and it's going to be kicking some dirt for a couple weeks until we can settle it out.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's where you earn your respect.
Of course. And then you get to see the company understands that we're willing to go there if we have to. And money is one aspect of it, but when you start touching like benefits, now we got a big, big, big problem. Benefits is worth a lot of money, right? I mean, medical, pension, I mean, all that stuff adds up, right?
I remember what I came up through. I came up through a long time ago. I did 20 years off of a truck. And I remember back in the day, I got 25 cents in my wage and 35 cents in my pension. That was my start of it in my 20s. And I remember the old guys putting their arms around me and explaining to me, "You're a yes vote because that's a good wage and that's a good benefit right there. You got to protect your pension and you got to have a wage." You imagine nowadays in 2026 going to my guys, you're going to get a quarter in your pay and 35 cents in your pension. They'd string you up due to politics, due to, COVID, due to inflation. Times have changed. Life's hard out there. It don't matter who's in there as president. I can tell you right now, doesn't matter if it's a Republican or a Democrat. All right. At the end of the day, where it really matters is when we go to the grocery store with our families. That's what hits us.
Right.
You don't have to show me numbers. I tell an employer all the time, I don't want to hear about inflation. I don't want to hear about, whether, right now there is no inflation, that things aren't tough. No, they're tough. Go to the grocery store. All right, go to the grocery store. I can go talk to my members. I know what the real inflation is. It's the inflation of the family. So if my members are struggling when it comes to going to the grocery store, if I'm struggling when it comes to the grocery store, you better come up with some money because you got to keep up with the times.
Yeah. These companies will think that inflation is a made up number, but what it really comes down to is the number. It used to be what employer would, a manager or CEO would make 30 times what the worker would make an hour. And now it's, I heard like 3,000 times that
Oh yeah.
much.
Oh
It's
yeah.
ridiculous. It's,
No,
you
it
know,
it it, it is. I mean, to think about the corporate greed that and it started way before COVID. It just got inflated after COVID. I
right,
mean, everybody's like, "Oh, look at how much these CEOs and companies made during COVID and stuff." Everybody was staying at home, and Amazon was booming, shipping everything to the house. Nobody wanted to go out. No, corporate greed goes way back. Corporate greed goes way back. I mean, this country's that's not something new in this country. It's just something more noticeable now because the greed's turned in from motorboats to yachts.
right,
Now you're noticing how much more they're making than their employees. They're getting rich off their employees' backs. You know, and we get to be out there on the street every day, and our members, our Teamsters have good contracts. Our Teamster members are making a good wage. Our Teamster members are making a good living from time to time. That's what we're here for. There for them in the time of struggle. But if they're struggling, that means everybody else in the world is struggling. And part of being a Teamster is caring about your community. All
right,
right. Being a Teamster, the reason that we have a good job and we have good benefits is to be able to help our neighbors, to be able to help our family members, and to be able to help our brothers and sisters in the fight in times of need. You know, we have a great Teamsters Care program here at this local. We raise probably twice as much money now. President Quackenbush has been making sure that he's out there, working every day, trying to make sure that we keep that fun going and not just going, but keep it alive. Because we found out that even though things are kind of settling down, our members are still in need. You always are going to have those members that have a sick family member that need a little extra, that have a house fire. You're going to have those members that just have unexpected things happen to them. And that's why we have our members.
Right. Yeah, it's very important that you remember that the human element of it. We're not machines, you know. We might make it look easy, but it's not easy.
No.
Driving a truck, you know, dumping cement or pulling packages and loading these UPS trucks. You know, we're not freaking machines. We're human beings. From the East Coast to the West Coast, it's Teamsters moving from the crack of dawn to the late hours. It feels like it doesn't stop with us, but when they trying to play with our money and play with the benefits, it's come on, you know, come on. How many yachts do you need? You know?
Well, in all honesty, the one thing I have noticed is that, and I'm trying to communicate with the younger generation. When I was growing up and I came through, 25, 30 years ago, almost 30 years ago, coming up through, and I was told how important healthcare was. That was something that you were always taught. You were always taught how important healthcare was. I mean, I have children right now that are in their early 20s, and I'm actually very happy that they stay on my insurance till they're 26 because they can't afford health insurance. The cost of health insurance has just gone out the skyrocketed through the roof, and I get it. It's tough on the employers, but it's tough on our family members. We cannot afford to go to the doctors and have a outstanding bill afterwards. Our members can't afford that. Their families can't afford that. That is just unexpected. And part of being a Teamster or part of being an employee, if you're a caring employer, you should not have a problem with making sure I have benefits to take care of my family. I give you 60, 70, 80 hours a week at that employment. Well, I'm doing that because I want you to take care of my family, and taking care of my family is part of that is the benefit of the healthcare. The other part of it is the retirement, you know?
Right.
So those are
Yeah.
the 2 things that the employers are trying to get out of that are gonna harm our members and harm our families is because our families need that. Our families need to go to the doctors, and our families need to retire after they have completed their time at their employment because they dedicated all that time away from their families to produce a living for their families, and that's their reward.
I mean, New York is just like California. It's freaking expensive,
Oh, yeah.
very expensive. Well, the two most expensive places in the country. I think they're saying that Florida is starting to rise with all the New Yorkers that moved over there, but it's starting to rise. But it still doesn't compare to California and New York taxes. Those taxes in California and New York will kill you. They'll kill you. But moving on to another topic I want to talk to you about. Have you heard about the news lately with the layoffs and stuff going on again? The layoffs at UPS, like another 30,000 jobs. You heard about that?
Yeah, I've heard about that, and it's disturbing. It's disturbing that an employer such as UPS is gonna lay off all those workers and and not only lay them off, but go back on their promises to the Teamsters of building that company bigger and greater because that's what they came to the table and bargained. And, Sean O'Brien did a great job holding their feet to the fire, and this is very disturbing that this is actually going on right now.
Yeah, it's amazing to see that on one end, they agreed to everything that they wanted, right? On one side. But on the other side, now they're doing a bamboozle move by doing these layoffs and automating and buying. Then they spent like I don't know how many robots they bought, but they bought like 400 something thousand or 400 robots they're gonna put to offload packages. And for what I'm hearing, that shit is glitchy as hell. It's
Well,
glitchy as hell.
not only glitchy, the quality is not gonna be there because you're taking away from the human quality. I actually just spoke, at the Capitol a couple weeks back. I think it was early December. I actually spoke on the assembly floor in public hearings, for the Teamsters against artificial intelligence. One of the biggest issues I have with the AI and that we're trying to fight and get bills in New York on right now is the fact that, AI is displacing our workers. AI is displacing New Yorkers from, coming to the state. We're going to deprive us of having new employees in the state and deprive the employees we have. Not just that, artificial intelligence over the years, and it's been around. I mean, I came out, up through before there was GPSs. When I started running New York City, out of Albany. I used to run down to the Bronx and Brooklyn, Queens. I did all that down Long Island. You did it with a road map. You walked in the office, you open a file cabinet, the old guy in the room. You always look for the oldest guy in the room because you know he did the route. He'd give you the map, and then you'd be on your way. You'd take a road map. I was running a truck before there was GPSs. I got my first GPS, and I got more lost using that thing trying to drive a truck. But the whole point is that over time, the automation has come through, at such a rapid pace, nobody's checking it. And then they take this artificial intelligence and they got it in the handhelds. Now, Cisco guys have scanners. UPS have the tablets, and they're using this for a production standard. And I was arguing on the floor down at the assembly. The problem that I have with artificial intelligence and a human being reading these reports is that when a computer is telling you how fast you should go or how hard you should work or what action should be taken, there's no living brain or heart in that computer. So it doesn't understand that this member might have lost a loved one. This member might be going through a divorce. This member might be struggling. This member's kid might be at home sick. It's not going to take all these considerations. Artificial intelligence is not taking this into consideration when it's trying to show us how productive we should be. Not only that, we've been getting some killer snowstorms up here in the Northeast, and I've preached every year that I've been down on that assembly floor against artificial intelligence. The last thing we need is an autonomous vehicle in New York State, because I don't even want to drive next to the person holding that steering wheel in New York State in a snowstorm, let alone a computer chip. Because the first thing that happens in New York State in the winter is your dashboard lights up and it talks about how your cameras are blocked by the ice or snow. So if my camera is blocked by the ice and snow and I'm driving that vehicle, what is it going to do with that computer? We got a big fight going on in New York right now, and we're going to keep fighting that fight against artificial intelligence because it's harming our workers. All right. And not just that. It's a shame that I got to go down to the assembly floor and fight these companies such as UPS or Cisco or any of these big companies that want to use these scanners and tablets to tell a worker how their performance was for the day. Because I'll tell you this, back when I was a driver and they tried bringing out these charts telling you what your performance was, I think one of the supervisors rated me a D. And I told him, well, D was passing in high school. So you know what? There you go. Because at the end of the day, you can't tell me that I'm not going to do my job properly. One of the things that we do as a Teamsters, we do our job properly and bring quality to the table. We go to work, we get home safe. That's your two priorities. Go to work, get your job done, and go home safe. That's your only priorities.
It doesn't account for the human element. It just
No, it doesn't.
numbers, 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 numbers.
No.
And if you want to talk about numbers, 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 okay, that's fine. But it doesn't account for, okay, if there was an accident, it doesn't account if the fucking computer went offline. Okay, let's count every second that shit goes offline. I remember where I work at, Albertsons, right? The robot that pulls the orders inside the warehouse in Irvine went offline. We had the biggest wait. It was probably 3 days of everybody sitting around 4 hours delayed. Imagine that. Nickels and dimes. Just, hey, we're not going to tell you how to run your show. It's your robot that's fucked up, not us. We're here. We clocked in on time. We're here. We're waiting for you. But see, they don't count that. They don't count that robot's going to go down. When there's a power outage, what are you going to do then? Are you going to build a generator for just that alone? The truck alone is a problem too.
You know what the best part is? All right. Over the years, I've seen the difference in supervision, management. All right. And let's be honest, it's gone downhill. All right. I don't care who you are. The problem is there's not a class out there to be how to be stupid. All right. They just pick them up off the street and hope they're dumb enough to figure out how to harass their employees. All right. Because at the end of the day, management that is trying to correct the actions that they say you are doing wrong, management that is reading that clipboard telling you how your performance was, that management can't do the job. That's my biggest bitch with this whole thing is you could tell me I'm not doing a good job, but show me that you could do a better job, because you're not going to do a better job than a Teamster.
No, I mean, majority of these dispatchers couldn't pass a Class A fucking test.
No.
And it's easy to come in there and be Monday quarterback and tell me how I should have done it. But you get your ass out there and go, look, what's going on? I was working as a spotter a few days ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Oh, there's 3 pages of move, okay. There's nowhere to put these trailers, and there's way too many vendors in the fucking way, and I'm by myself because guys are on lunch. You cannot I tell them, "You cannot bug these guys on their lunch. Once they start their lunch, that's it. You cannot talk to them, you cannot bug them. California meals breaks law. That's it. Done. Oh, no, but you got no, no, no. Have you ever moved a trailer? They won't give you an answer. They just know how to bitch. They don't know how to tell you. They don't understand that shit happens. Guys gotta go on lunch. Eventually, everybody got to go on lunch. I was fresh. I had just got into work. I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna move it one move at a time." I told him on the radio, "Hey man, I'm gonna move on one move at a time. That's it. On the computer, that's it. One move at a time. I'm not gonna hurt myself to get my manager excited. But right now, a lot of these companies, they're picking like the bottom of the barrel management.
Yeah.
They're not even picking people that worked in the field of
No,
what they're trying to manage.
no.
I mean, it's terrible to see that they'll try to write you up, and then when you explain it to them how it's easily grievance and how you're gonna destroy that write up, they just it's like deers in headlights. Like, what the hell? Exactly. You want to write me up? Go right ahead. Just know I'm gonna grievance it. That's it.
Yeah, I just got off the phone earlier today. I had one of my senior guys a company that I'm not gonna mention just because we have so many of them.
Right.
Management told me what he did wrong. He made a mistake. He made a mistake, and, they were gonna try to fire him, and I said, "You ain't gonna fire him. He's a 28-year guy, 28-year guy. Give him a spanking, put him back to work tomorrow." And they did, because they know I don't lie. I'm gonna tell you straight up, if I'm gonna win something, I'm gonna win it. And that's one of those things that you're gonna win because a guy went there. It's a shame that you're gonna, want to bust a guy's chops after 28 years of service. Came to work every day for 28 years. You're gonna bust his chop over something stupid. That shows you that you're rookie management. Any day of the week. Come on, let's go in front of the arbitrator with that one because he's going back to work. You're gonna pay him what you owe him because you displaced him from work because of poor judgment. And that's what it comes down to is there's poor judgment. Most of them need somebody to manage them and fire them for their stupidity.
Oh man. Um, I don't know if you noticed, but some of these places, if you're around the trucking community, now they want to put timers to pick your daily bid. Some places they have that, right?
Yep.
So where I'm at, they try doing that where they put these 15 minutes to pick your bid. 10 guys or 30 guys picking a bid. So we're like, hey man, come on, hurry up, man. There's 2 minutes. The clock ends at 15 minutes. They start handing out the work. Here's your work today. So this guy makes a mistake, right? The supervisor. First thing I do, all right, guys, stop the clock. He made a mistake. He made a mistake. So he stops the clock. I say, you made a mistake by putting the wrong bid on the bid here. You're going to give us an additional 5 minutes. What? I said, hey, you made a mistake. So
Yeah.
we have 5 minutes left. You're going to add another 5 minutes to the clock. This is like a draft. This is
Yeah.
like the NFL draft. You want to get the right player to play for your team. So, hey, you're going to give us 5 more minutes. I just
Well,
made it loud,
not just the
for
right
everybody around me to hear it.
not just the right player. You want to make sure that you give the opportunity by seniority. I mean, that's what it comes down to. I mean, I think we've lost a little touch with the whole seniority thing over the years because I tell you this, in the craft, for the first 10 years, you didn't have seniority. That was your rookie phase. Nowadays you see employees, due to retirement and due to, turnover and stuff over the years. Now you see guys moving up in seniority a lot faster than it used to be at all crafts.
Big
But I
time.
tell you this, my first 10 years, I was still the junior guy buying the coffee for the old guy at the stewards up here. You know what I mean? We stopped for
Yeah.
coffee. It was my turn to buy just because I didn't have enough seniority to squat.
Right.
It was a respect thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I work in a place where we got about 600 drivers, probably like 2,000 something guys in the warehouse.
Wow.
And what I notice, I love working with these veteran dudes because they're like an open book. Sometimes they're going to give you the best advice. Sometimes they'll be, life advice, not union advice.
Right.
But it's to me, I take it like these are like my OG brothers, like an OG uncle giving me some game. And it doesn't matter your race, black, white, Latino, it's all good because it's all coming from a place of knowledge and love. Sometimes you get these guys that are bitter, that are angry, that will they won't give you advice, they'll just give you shit for something, right? But like, hey, bro, like one day you're gonna be retired. You're gonna need me to continue working here so that the pension keeps rolling. Like, come on, bro. Don't be an asshole, bro. I don't know you, but be nice, bro. Be respectful. Like I'm gonna bust my ass Make sure the young guys keep working hard, put a lot of hours in so that the shit rolls. It continues on the line, you know. But I'll tell you right now, I the Teamsters are getting out there. They're getting a lot of people that before were like anti-union. A lot of them want to join a union because they see the better contracts are there, the retirement is there, the longevity is good. I met a guy last week, 30 years, cement company, right? Third strike in his career. This is his third strike with that company. And I said, how many guys today could say that? There's not many. I've been on 3 different strikes here. I've been here 30 years. And it's to be a teamster, it takes a lot. I said it before. If you're not willing to sacrifice short term for long term gains, then being a teamster or a union man is not for you. You know, it's
Well,
not for you.
and when we're organizing, and actually we've been bringing a lot of new groups in. I mean, we're very fortunate. I'm actually seeing an uptick with Jason Hughes, our organizing lead guy, and President Quackenbush has done a great job from pushing the organized out of this local. And actually, in the last couple of months, I'm actually seeing a uptick. We're actually bringing new groups in, so there's a positive curve to the wheel here. It's actually going in the right direction. We're bringing new groups on, and whenever I have the opportunity to talk to a new group coming to the Teamsters, I tell them flat out: if you're looking for a job, this isn't a job. This is a career. So if you're just looking for a job, don't join the Teamsters. If you're looking for a career, join the Teamsters because once you become a Teamster, you got a full-fledged career the rest of your life because whether you work for this shop or another shop, you're going to understand the value of being a Teamster because a Teamster is not a job. Our employers are not jobs. It's a career for our members. And that's something I believe in. When I was in my early 20s before I had kids, I thought I was looking for a job. No, I found a career. I became a Teamster. I found a career. And that's something I truly believe in. And when our members come here and when we get new groups and we start organizing, I've stood up in meetings before and I said, if you're looking for a job, you're in the wrong place because Teamsters don't make jobs, Teamsters make careers.
That's right. And I think I said it before, like anybody can offer you a paycheck, but can they offer you a career? It's only as a union man. If it's a Teamster, if it's an iron worker, if it's an IBW, any of those unions are gonna take care of you now and to your retirement. And you go to any company and that's non-union, are they gonna be around in 10 years? Are they gonna take care of you? Because they could close doors and bam, move out, you know? All it takes is an acquisition, and all of a sudden, hey, we don't got to honor the contract. What contract? No, we just gonna let you all go, and we're gonna bring in outside vendors to help. You
Yeah,
know,
going back to one of your previous questions there, with all these layoffs and stuff going on with UPS and everything going on throughout the country, is one thing I do know about the Teamsters. I actually have a couple Teamsters from outside of New York that have reached out recently, and I've helped them with interviews over at Cisco. And the one thing about being a Teamster, if there's a lack of work in your area, and it happens in all crafts. All right. There's ups and downs. But, if you're a junior guy and you get laid off for some reason in a construction field in the middle of the country or whatever, reach out to us. Reach out to a business agent at a different local and say, what opportunities do you have in your area? I'm looking to still be a Teamster, but, right now it's hard to get a job in our area. What do you have to offer out in your area? I've taken several of those phone calls in the last couple of weeks and actually helped brothers and sisters get placed from other states into New York State because a Teamster is a Teamster is a Teamster. We're all brothers and sisters, And in California and they're looking for a job, you know, hey, upstate New York, I mean, we got a lot of snow right now, but if you want to cut your teeth in the ready mix in the snowstorm, have at it, we're
right,
here. If you want to get on a Cisco truck in Albany, we got the availability. So that's something that we do as Teamsters is that if you are out of work and you are looking for, a job and it might not be in that local, it might not be in that area, but stay a Teamster. Follow
right,
that career path and maybe you'll have a new opportunity somewhere else. Take the opportunity to call your local business agents or your local halls throughout the country and say, what do you have going on out there and what do you have to offer? Because you might find the right opportunity at the right time.
right. Yeah, I mean, you definitely want to stay as a Teamster. You see guys move out of state because of economics. Oh, it's too expensive in my state. I gotta move out. I'm moving to the middle of the country. Okay, well, join the Teamsters there. Before you move, make the plans, see where you're
Make a
going,
phone call, yeah.
make a
Yeah,
phone call.
make a
You
phone
know,
call.
everybody has a friend, you know what I'm saying? And I'll tell you like this, you gotta make that phone call. If it doesn't happen, okay, just call the next one, call the next one, see who has it. It happens all the time. I mean, I know food service, it's busy as hell all year. And I was food service in the pandemic, so I know it was busy, busy, busy,
Bowling.
busy.
Right.
And grocery is where the guys were like really killing it. So I know for a fact grocery, like I'm in grocery, so it's busy. It's busy all year. It has a little slow peak, but that's when most guys are like happy to just take a break because when we're busy, it's sometimes it's 7 days straight. We're just nonstop going, you know. But
And that's the thing that, that employers don't think of. One of the things is, when we get back to how they want to cut benefits and this and that, let's be honest, in the summertime, all right, the senior guys are getting the premium vacations because they got the seniority. They waited their turn. You know, I so these employers don't consider how hard everybody's working through the seasons when their family members are off or when their kids can take vacations. No, I might get, well, first couple of years in a company, you might get stuck with November or December as a vacation time if you're lucky, but you ain't getting June, July, or August when your kids are out of school. So the dedication of an employee has value. And part of
right.
that value of being a Teamster is we want to keep our benefits installed for our members because there's a reason that they're staying with you as a company, and that reason isn't because you fucking love them. You know what
That's
I mean?
true. Yeah, they love you. They love you today. Next week, they don't know who the fuck you are.
That's right. That's right. You know what
Right.
I mean? I think in my 20 years at Cisco on the back of a truck, I think about 6 times I got pulled in there with the termination paperwork, but it never stuck because I always dotted my I's and crossed my T's. You
Yeah.
know, they never try to fire you for being a good employee. They try making shit up to, because they don't like the way you advocate for your union or your brothers and sisters. So they always tried to come up with something, once a year. I mean, I remember, in my early 20s, somebody always got fired for Christmas. It was a
Oh,
tradition at Cisco. Yeah, every Christmas week, somebody got fired and the arbitrator would put them back. We had 20 years stretch of that. Every Christmas, somebody got fired, you know, just, start the new year off right. That was just a management thing. But that was first 20 years, we always played Russian roulette to see which one was getting fired for Christmas.
man, that'd be terrible to get fired. I know a guy in food service. His probation was about to end 2 days to Christmas. They cut him, and the guy was a good employee, but they cut him because they say, "Oh, you delivered this late." I'm like, "Motherfucker, we're always late. What are you talking about? Why you gotta
Right.
fire him for being late? We're always fucking late."
Everybody's late. All right.
Everybody's fucking late. In food service, you're always late. As long as you're making the assertive the effort of getting the shit off the truck without causing an accident, your lift gate battery is low. Fuck, what am I gonna do? Now you're hand stacking that shit down to from the side door to get it off. And it's come on, it's like, get a guy a break, but
What makes me laugh is, I've gone over the years there, and you got that management. You got that one guy in management that could, eat 3/4 pounders for lunch there and wants to talk about how long it took you to unload that truck when his ass couldn't go down the ramp with one hand car. You know what I mean?
I remember I had this manager that he was an ass. He was he was a Teamster, by the way, before he became manager. And this guy, man, he'll be like bragging about, I was to run hard with my dolly at Budweiser. I was the man. Look at me. Look at this picture of me. I had long hair. I said, that's no longer you, man. You're not that guy. He says, oh, I
Yeah.
could do it. So he goes to do a delivery because we're shorthanded drivers. So I guess the union allowed him to go do it because he had a CDL to out to the desert. And he goes out to deliver. And I tell him before he goes, I go, hey, take somebody with you. Grab one of the union guys from the warehouse to assist you with this. You have a CDL to drive it there. Have him run it into you because it's a long walk and it's a big ass order for that store. I know because that's a store I've done a lot. No, no, I got it. Dude, I saw him the next day, bro. The guy had ice pack on his fucking knees. The guy was all fucked up. I mean, he was, oh man, oh, I should have listened to you, man. It was too much. It was too much. I think it was like 9 stacks of milk. The crates have 6 in there. It's about 6 high, and it's 9 stacks because the store's in the middle of like Ridgecrest, somewhere out in the desert. And He's like, "Man, I should have listened to you." I told him, "Bro, don't ever do that again. You're lucky you even made it back because that shit's heavy. You'll fuck up your back." I find out the guy had 2 broken hips he had got surgery on, so he was all effed up. He walks like he's getting off a horse and stuff, um,
I
but it's
got I got
hard.
I got a story for you. I was probably late 20s, early 30s, and, I was a shop steward. I was a shop steward for almost 2 decades at my job there, and, I was a little bit, cocky and probably a prick at that age group there, you know what I mean? So I remember I was on this run as wintertime, and they shoved me on this run. They buried me. They buried the shit out of me, and they sent a supervisor out to help me. And he was just he was a prick. He was a total prick. You know, I he goes, I'll stack the hand car. I go, I'm not pushing the hand car. You are. You gonna help me? You ain't touching my cases. You can push my cases. So I double stack and everything out. He's smoking his cigarette, and he's running the shit there, and I'm burying him. You know what I mean? We get, I don't know, about 12 hours in, right? I'm gonna have to stay in a hotel, the quality employee is gonna have to stay at a hotel and be away from his family because I gotta get all these cases off the truck, but he's gonna go home. So we get to this stop there, and, you know, just a bad day to be trying to piss on a Teamster because the chef comes out and he starts bitching, where's my seafood? It's special, it's a special tonight. You're effing this, effing that. And I said, you know what? Fuck you both. I shut the door and I said, I'm taking my union break. I go, that door ain't open until I'm done taking my fucking breaks. He goes, when's that? I go, I got about 45 minutes, so I'm coming for me right now. And I go, in 45 minutes, you grab your fish. That supervisor had to drive the truck to the hotel and walk back to get his vehicle. You ain't gonna push me around, disrespect me. I'm doing the best job I can. I'm out here providing for my family. I'm not out here because I want to have a good time. So you
Right.
disrespect me. I shut that fucking door and made them wait 45 minutes to get their seafood.
I remember one time we had this manager there. He was a Cisco. He was a driver that was like badass.
Yeah.
That got promoted, right? He was one of those fit guys. Looked like
Yeah.
he could squat 10,000 pounds, right? And then this manager that I tell you about, he brought him in. He goes, "I'm bringing one of my Cisco guys to QCD, and I'm going to show you how we did it at Cisco." I
Yeah.
said, "Whatever, man. Whatever. We're weak according to you.
Yeah.
We just
Yeah.
one account, and we're spoiled." Okay.
Yeah.
So he comes in and he goes, "Why are you taking so long and doing this route? And why are you taking so long making all this money and all these hours?" I said, "You want to come with me? I'll take you for the ride. Bring a sack lunch. Come on, let's go." So we go out and it's 29 Palms. It's way out in the desert, their first store. It's at the base where the Marines train. So I drive out there and I look over to my right and this guy's asleep halfway there.
Yeah.
I go, "Hey, Sleeping Beauty, wake up. We're here. Come on, let's go." And we start offloading the stuff and we get through the run all through we come back to Yucca Valley, Spawn Springs. We come back up. We're at the casino right there off the 10. We're delivering. And I come outside and everything's on the floor. I'm like, what the fuck happened? I guess the winds, the Santa Anas were blowing pretty hard that night. And everything that he had put in stacks, he thought it was Cisco, it fucking blew over. I go, "Bro, I left it on the truck there on the
Yeah.
lift gate. All you gotta do is scoop and bring it. Why are you moving my shit?" He's like, "Oh, well, I thought this was a more efficient way." I was like, "What the fuck?" Even the girls from the Starbucks were like, "Why is there shit on the floor?" I said, I'm gonna see if I can fix your order. If I can't, I'll replace your order." I'm like, "Shit." But
Man.
that's what happens when managers put their foot in their mouths.
Oh,
They
yeah.
think
All
that
the
they could
time.
do something that we're doing and it's working a certain way. And trust me, it's the worst of the worst when they become management. They forget the human element of the job.
Yeah.
It's very sad to see that.
And the best part is management tries coming out there with one run, do it one time, would you? No, you know what? We do this every day of the week. We're 24/7 out here doing this job. Anybody could do it for a day. Anybody could do it for 30 minutes. Do it for 70 hours a week, 365 days a year. Yeah, that's what it is. Come out here and pretend that you could do this job. To do this job doesn't happen in one day. 20 years later, that's doing the job. One
Right.
day is not doing the job. So when management wants to go out there on a run with any of our members and critique them for one day or critique that one day, you know what? Go out there every day of the week. You want to tell me how to do my job? Come out there every day of the week and show me how, because that's not going to happen.
Yeah. So Stan, right now, up in the up in the East Coast, what is really driving right now? What's really moving on over there? What should the West Coast knows what's going on in the East Coast?
Well, right now, the biggest problem we got on the East Coast is snow. I mean,
Oh,
we've been getting hammered this year. Nobody ever wants to say the word global warming, that's taboo, but I can tell you right now, we're getting some crazy snowstorms out here right now, and
crazier
it's
than
affecting
usual,
our
or
worker. I mean, we had a huge storm roll in Sunday into Monday, and you watch a lot of these non-union companies close down. And then you go on the thread and you see the UPS guys and the Cisco guys and everybody else saying, I can't believe our employers are making us work. I agree. I agree. The safety aspect alone that these companies you want to keep rolling, but you want to know what our members go to work. Our members keep the trucks rolling. I mean, I remember all the snowstorms. Back in the day. I remember 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago, there when my daughter was born. There, coming back on her first birthday and coming out of New York City, driving all the way back up in one of the biggest snowstorms ever. I mean, that's just one of the elements in that our members face. And if it's not the cold and it's not the snow, in the middle of summer you get the heat. I mean, you guys have different elements out there, but it's still the same. Weather conditions affect our members every day of the week, and but our Teamsters get the job done.
is there any organizing drives right now out there that are really fueling right now? Or
You know what? We are really getting out there. I think President Quackenbush done a great job. We've been going out there scooping up a lot of organizing leads in between here. I've noticed an uptick. There's a big uptick right now. What I see a lot of different groups wanting to come over to the Teamsters, and which is encouraging. I hate to say it, the generations now do not understand how much they need a voice in the workplace. And, if I could tell anybody out there that, whether you want to be a Teamster or a union member, the one thing that does for you is gives you a voice in your workplace. And nowadays, you really do need a voice in your workplace, and you got to hold that company to a better standard because if you wait for that company to do right by you, it's never going to happen. And
yeah,
you're just wasting day by day, not being heard. Take advantage of joining the union, join the Teamsters. I see a lot of new groups coming through 294. I think Jason and President Quackenbush have done a great job with the organizing. I'm seeing, a lot of new DPWs coming in the door. Jason just organized. They did a march on the bus from Durham bus over here in Albany.
the school buses.
So school buses, yeah, Jason, I was down there the other day, we posted a video, he went down there, did a march on the bus, demand recognition. So, the employers never like to see that, but you know what? We like to see the motivated, members of that unit go to their boss, tell their boss, "We want recognition. We want Teamsters Local 294 for that recognition. We want our voices heard, and we wanna be respected." We want to be respected because you need to pay us a living wage. We need a living wage and we need benefits for our families. So I am seeing a growing uptick, which is very surprising. Usually, when we have a Democratic, and I'm not bringing politics in this, when you have a Democrat in office, as president, we usually do very, very well in the organizing, not so much with a Republican in office, but for some reason in the last 6 months, I got to give President Quackenbush and Jason Hughes a lot of credit on this. They've been working very hard, and so have all the other members of our organization in the office here. Done a great job going out there getting leads and everything. And I am seeing an uptick, and it's very surprising because, like I said, I've been around a long time, and usually you, this is not one of those years that you would expect it, but there's a lot of people coming to the table. There's a lot of people calling on the phone saying, I want to have a voice. And I'm glad that they want to have a voice because you need a voice in your workplace
Right,
more now than ever. So
right.
I think that we're gonna see, the Teamsters growing, and it's not just here in Albany. I see it throughout the country. I think, Sean O'Brien's done a great job, making sure that his message is getting out there. Let's build the Teamsters bigger, stronger than ever. I think we're starting to see it. I think, others outside of the Teamster world are starting to hear it. They're starting to see it, and they're actually picking up the phone as
I think
much
it's
as they should.
an attitude thing. We gotta make it an attitude thing where You gotta have that pride to be a Teamster. You gotta have that muscle of that inside you. You gotta feel like you're the 9 footer. You gotta feel like when you walk into management's office, like you're not gonna bully me. So I'm a Teamster and I'm gonna call my representatives. I'm gonna call them over here. I'm gonna call my shop steward to handle this. And I've heard these great stories of guys, that they from the past, these infamous names, man, I remember back in 848, Sant'Angelo, and I remember, Hoffa and all these stories from guys, right? And man, I'm like, wow, man, that must have been something great. I think for us going forward, we have to bring that back. We got to be that united feeling together. You pick on one of my coworkers, you're picking on all of us, you know?
And I see that passion coming back into the Teamsters. I really do see that passion coming back into the Teamsters. I know as New Yorkers, we're always going down to New York City and supporting our Teamsters down in the city. I mean, we do a great job in New York standing together. That's just something we've always done, and we've grown
Right,
stronger because of it. I can tell you this: me and you are doing an East Coast West Coast podcast, because the Teamsters are out there, and the Teamsters want to, show love to each other and make sure that our voices are heard on both sides of the state. And that's something important. That's why I'm on this podcast. That's why I'm your brother, is because we're trying to get the message out there that let's grow this bigger and stronger. And we're going to grow bigger and stronger on every platform that we can use.
right. No, I mean, I've only had one chance to see, or twice. I saw Sean O'Brien in Sacramento when we had the AI rally, and yeah, he pretty much told the governor of California, "Hey, like, if you're not willing to take a meeting with me, don't ever ask us for another dime." And I really hope that Sean does that
Yeah,
because these politicians will take and take and take, but when it comes to passing legislation that we need, forget you. When did I say that? And I really like what Sean does. He's a good leader that does that. He wherever he's at, he does the messaging right. And I see what he does, man. He's out there visiting everybody. He's out there in UPS's, Coca-Cola, different places, just popping up, visiting people randomly, and I think him and the other union leader, are they got to go head to head for who's the best communicator. The guy from the longshoreman of the East Coast,
oh yeah.
that guy, that Daggett, that guy is good too. I mean, he has that voice that speaks volume, and I think O'Brien does the same thing. He's like, boom, where you need me, I'll be there. So I definitely see big things coming with O'Brien in office there. I see just the way we're going. It's going bigger. Amazon's coming on. Um, that's major because that's a major employer. We're out here in the IE where I'm living at. It's every warehouse going up. It's Amazon.
Oh
Out
yeah.
in the East Coast, the same problem.
Listen, Amazon is out of control. Amazon's like that in every state, every town. Amazon needs a Teamster in every one of those trucks because the safety aspect alone would the way Amazon is running that place. I mean, I think out in Buffalo there where it snows, they were buying vans with no heaters or air conditioning in them because they got $10,000 cheaper and sending people out to deliver packages in them. I spent last Christmas, the Christmas before last, I spent down on that strike line in Amazon down in Maspeth down in Queens. I was down there for 3 days with our brothers and sisters walking that line right before Christmas. I slept in a camper right there in the middle of Queens in the Teamster camper that 294 has. I can tell you this, Amazon, hands down, it needs to be held accountable. All right. Sean O'Brien's done a great job pushing to get Amazon into the Teamsters, showing them how to lead the way. Uh, Rosario, some of our brothers down in New York City have done a great job with organizing and keeping the movement going. Tough getting through to employees because Amazon's, let's face it, they're a
Right.
scumbag. You want to have a voice in your workplace, you no longer have a job here. It takes a lot of courage, and I give these employees, these members, these new members coming into the Teamster at Amazon, I give them a lot of credit because they're standing up to the giant. That giant does not care. That giant's got, while that giant just thinks it could do whatever with Goliath, is that at some point Sean O'Brien is going to be David and he's going to knock him to his knees. All right,
Mm.
that's what we're gonna see it happen. Amazon at some point is gonna have to sit down at that table, and they're gonna have to bargain in good faith and get to a contract, and we're gonna steamroll. We're gonna steamroll because these members at Amazon, They need a voice in their workplace, are that voice, and we're gonna continue on with that fight, and we're gonna organize all these taking advantage of their employees. They're being bullies. They're feeding themselves off the back of individuals in those communities and taking advantage of people, and they're not even showing them the respect to pay them a living wage.
Right, right. No, I mean, 100% what you're saying. It's a East Coast and a West Coast problem. It's
Yeah.
everywhere. These guys are doing the same thing. Amazon, they changed the name of their who's on the truck or who's running the truck,
Yeah.
but that's bullshit.
Shady, shady.
That's just a practice they learned from, I believe FedEx does that.
Yeah, oh,
At
yeah.
their FedEx Ground, they do the same fucking thing, but, that's another one that should have joined the Teamsters a long ass time ago, FedEx. We should have got them into the union. I just think we gotta get back the freight aspect too. We gotta bring back these freight guys back into the fold because there's a lot of companies getting big on the freight world. I think we've abandoned that for too long, and I think we got to get back in there. And I've never worked a day in my life in freight, but I've talked to those freight guys, and they tell me like, yeah, like after they broke up the national freight agreement, forget it. But I think there's room, and I'll tell you why. I hear a lot of news about we're gonna be mass producing chips, right? Computer
Yeah,
chips in the U.S.
yeah.
Well, who's gonna transport that? Freight. Well, let's get freight back in it. Let's go and organize. I won't say the names, but let's go organize A through Z, all those motherfuckers
Well,
in between.
I'm gonna tell you which one I got my eye on that I'd really like to have is Ohio Pet.
Ohio Pet?
Yeah, I can tell you right now, we do, we have freight barns out of here. We got ABF, we have T-Force. All right, I've represented, freight at one time. I love my freight members. There's not a tougher Teamster than a freight member. There's not more of a loyal member than a freight member. 'Cause I can tell you that they're solid as it comes, especially out of 294. Our freight guys are solid.
Right.
All right, we've been trying to organize these other freight companies. And, we came close with another one around here, and I'm not gonna say their name, but you know what? They kept buying pizzas, so if you're willing to sell your soul for a pizza party and an I love you, the problem is, people get scared. They get scared, oh, they're gonna offer me another dollar. The problem is you can give me a dollar more than that other company, but you can't give me the benefit and respect that that other company's getting. I don't care if
Yeah.
you give me two more dollars. You're not gonna get better healthcare than Teamsters healthcare.
No, 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 no. You can have your fucking pizza. It's probably gonna clog my
Right.
artery and I'll have a heart attack. But I think the best thing is here is this. Join the Teamsters and almost every meeting you're gonna have some good food. Almost every Teamster meeting ends with good food.
Yeah,
There's your pizza party.
the other thing is if we get back to accomplishing organizing these other freight barns and stuff and rebuild freight, and not only would that be a success for not just our members and their families, but that really, help us control some of these issues we have with these other companies moving,
Right.
growing up. Instead of having scabs go in there and cross the picket line to pick up that load and haul it out of there, it'd be a Teamster standing at the gate waiting for that company to settle out their issues before they got their freight moved again. And that's the power and control that we need, and that's the power and control you get with organizing. I mean, actually, the one good thing about, our locals, we have a lot of DPWs, and I laugh because when I came on, I'd started organizing DPWs, and I'd go from one town to the next, and I always said, I wanna make sure I have a Teamster in every truck in every town that I go through, and that's a dream that
What's a DPW for the people?
a DPW is a Department of Works there, so it'd be like our town guys, our municipalities, the plow trucks, the local communities that we represent, the municipalities, so town employees, basically,
Oh, okay. Oh,
and
like Department of Water?
well, Department of Works or, since
Okay.
you got water and sewer members, and then you also have the guys that are out there picking up the trash for the community. They're out there plowing the roads. They're out there mowing the lawns in the community, just the municipalities. So
Yeah, I mean,
they're all teams.
I think that is major. Freight, DPWs. I'm noticing a lot too now with like now that you notice that like even the phone companies are going away from the tech. AT&T, they don't need that many people no more. You got Time Warner or whoever they call them, that's Spectrum now. Those are probably union jobs too, right? You could probably go get, or if they're not union already. Verizon's changing their name of their people out there from Frontier to whatever. But I think freight is major. I think there's a lot of major companies, like, I noticed that company that does the shipping containers,
Yep.
Mercs, they're opening up warehouses now. What does
Really?
that mean? They're adapting to what's coming. We're not gonna be shipping so much stuff in as much shipping shit out. I
Right.
think that's the reason why they're doing that. Bring the stuff to them there, pack it up on a container, ship it to where it's shipping. I think we gotta get prepared for that because you gotta be a step ahead of them. You gotta jump ahead of them. All right, maybe you don't want 1,000 employees in a warehouse because you have some robots. How about we make sure that every guy that works on that robot is a Teamster? How about the guy that checks, that the robot is working properly from 2 states away is also a Teamster? We gotta make sure that we can get people trained and get them ready because when these shits change from one night to the next, Stan, you know damn well we don't wanna hear, "Well, we just lost, 300,000 employees, no longer Teamsters, they're not working." That's a big disruption to the system, you know? We gotta make sure
And
that
you know what?
that's
Just the other thing that I mean, every holiday, I mean, any Teamster knows that there's a list of grocery stores you buy from, a list of products that you get. They're union made, Teamster made. We got to get back, not just as a union member, not just as a Teamster, but as a community, and start supporting what union does. What are my neighbor wants me to come over and help him. My neighbor might be in a time of need, wants me to help them. Help them. Do the right thing as a Teamster, help the people in your community, but remind them they should be buying union products. They should be, supporting union members. UPS. All right. Don't ship your products from your house. If you're a Teamster member or any union member, all right, ship UPS. Do not ship FedEx. Stop taking our jobs away for that cheaper barcode. All right,
right,
that cheaper barcode. Because there's a reason that barcode's cheaper because the quality's not there, the heart's not there, and the service isn't there. So do the right thing in your community and support those union workers, support those UPS guys. All right. I'll tell you this: if anything other than UPS shows up at my house, that package is going back, and the wife's going to be very disappointed. All right, because she's not getting it. It better come on a UPS truck, all right? It's not coming in my house. It better come on an ABF freight truck or T-Force truck, or it's not coming in my house. All right,
yeah, I mean, even now, how about this thing now where UPS has people on the holidays in cars pull up and they give them a bunch of packages to go deliver it. Now, I'm like, "Wait a minute, is this guy a real UPS guy? 'Cause he's pulling up in his car." I'm not used to seeing this. I'm used to seeing a
right,
big brown truck pull up and I know it's them. Like, "Alright, my package is here," I watch the camera, make sure that it gets delivered.
right.
I remember when they misplaced some equipment that I ordered, and I was like, "Where the fuck is my shit at?" I had to go to a store where they say, "Oh, yeah, we dropped it off there. It'll be there tomorrow. You pick it up there." I'm like, "Oh my goodness."
I
Yeah,
uh,
it's
Let me tell you something. I've been around the union hall for the last almost 25, 30 years, and I can tell you one thing. UPS and it don't matter if it's in New York or California, I guarantee is never prepared properly for peak season. All right. I've never heard a UPS guy come into the hall and say management had their shit together this year and we did it right and we were ready for peak. So that's why you're seeing that happen. That it's going to come in a minivan or somebody's car. All
right,
right. Because management's not doing their job. The company's not doing their job. Carol's not doing her job, all right, and
right,
making sure that that company's running correctly, all right? Management doesn't get ready for peak, and then they take it out on our members.
right,
And how do they reward our members after peak's done? They try to fire them. All right, they're scumbags. All right, they're scumbags for doing that because you want to talk about how great the service was this year, Carol, and then you want to talk about how you want to fire our members afterwards.
right,
Go scratch because you know what? You're not showing any respect to your employees, let alone the Teamsters by your attitude. All right. We have never been ready for peak. All right. They're never going to be ready for peak. And that's the sad truth of it. All right. Especially with her at the helm.
Well, we said it all. We said it all today. Stan, thank you, man. East Coast, West Coast, we gotta keep fighting.
We got
From
to keep fighting,
Amazon to
stick together.
UPS to Cisco to every contract, grocery, everybody. We gotta fight, fight, fight. You gotta remember that management is not your friend.
No,
Even if they buy you pizza, they're not your friend. Okay,
no.
they're not your friend.
Eh,
Ratting. Stan,
right.
what do you got? What message you got for rats? How do we handle rats, Stan?
Listen, let's be honest. Rats get stitches. Right? Snitches get
Right,
stitches. All right. You're not gonna get any reward for ratting out your brother and sister.
Nope.
All right. You're not gonna get any reward for ratting out your brother and sister. If you want to be a scumbag and go report something to management, and that's what happened to my 28-year guy. You know, he got a spanking because somebody ratted him out. He didn't get caught by management. He got ratted out, and that's why Stan called him up and said, "You ain't gonna fire him. You're gonna put him back to work because I'm not putting up with this shit. We don't rat on each other, all right?
Right.
We're all there trying to earn a living for our families, provide for our families. All right, we got scumbag management up our ass. All right, we don't need our brothers and sisters trying to rat us out, thinking they're gonna get brownie points because you ain't even getting a cookie. You ain't even getting a cookie. So what's it worth? What's it worth having that dishonor on your badge?
Right.
All right,
Right.
we don't need rats because you know what? I hope somebody that would rat you out for being that scumbag that you are. All right,
Well,
so
rats nowadays, they know how to hide. They
uh,
put on Teamster shirts and hats and walk around with their neck out like they're not a rat. But you know it's bad, Stan, when a manager, two managers, and a supervisor tells you that that guy ratted on you.
yeah.
You're like, you guys don't even have the decency to protect your source. Somebody told us no. They literally said the guy's name to me on who ratted on me, and I'm like, damn, that's how much they think about you. They don't even care about
Yeah.
you. They
They
just
don't
threw
care
you under
they
the
don't care if
bus.
you make it home. They don't care if you make it home, there's no tires on your car. 'Cause I'm telling you
Right.
right now, there's nothing worse than a rat, and management's not gonna protect you, all right?
No.
Management's not gonna protect you, you know? I hope you have a good day driving your car home, and I hope everything's working when you get there, all right? But I can tell you this, there's no reward for ratting out your brothers and sisters, all right?
Right.
You're an indecent human being. You're worse than management at that point because you paid dues to belong to a membership. It took an oath to protect your brothers and sisters. You ain't protecting nobody. You're not even protecting yourself. You just became a moving target.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Let's
the
play dodge.
dishonor.
Let's play dodgeball.
Hey, the dishonor
It's
being
a
known as a
dishonor.
rat.
Right? Yeah. The rest of your life,
There,
you're gonna be a rat.
there's no honor being a rat. You
No,
know. Now, if somebody has, let's just say, a weapon, they're coming to work to hurt somebody. That's not
it's
considered
not.
ratting because that's a safety issue, right?
That's a life or death issue. All
Right.
right.
That's a
We're not
safety
talking
issue.
about life or death issues. You got a life or death issues. You know, somebody's having, Frank's having a bad day. All right, I got a couple of those Franks that have a bad day, and they come to work with something. You better tell somebody because something bad
Right.
happened. You,
We all want to go
you,
home. We all want to
we
go
all
home
know
not dead.
listen. We all know our coworkers. We know that
Right.
guy that might be having a bad day, and if he's having that kind of bad day, yeah, you need to bring it to somebody's attention. If it's a safety issue, that's different. To,
Right.
to rat a guy out that he's taking too long, to rat a guy out that he missed one of his 10 steps of the program, whatever.
Right.
That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the dishonor ratting, not the
So on
safe.
the East Coast or the West Coast, a rat is still a fucking rat.
That's a
That's
fucking
just
rat.
it.
That's
Don't
a rat.
rat. Don't rat because that manager will throw you under the bus
Oh, every
and
time.
forget it.
Every time.
Forget it. Stan, thank you, man. We'll do it again.
It's been
We'll
a
do it
pleasure.
again, and we'll talk about some more stuff next time. Whatever you got going on, shoot it my way. We'll do this once a month, Stan. What do you say?
That sounds great. It's been a
All
pleasure,
right,
brother.
Stan. Thank you so much,
Take
Stan.
care.
Solid Talk podcast. And remember, from the East Coast to the West Coast, Teamsters, look out for Teamsters. Remember that.